So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. In today's one, I have to say I am pretty amped to get into because it surrounds the next trailer for James Gunn's Superman movie, which would be, of course, the official trailer. Now, it is kind of crazy to say that it's already been over a month since the teaser trailer released to like around 52 million views now. I don't know if the official trailer's gonna break that, but that's pretty crazy. But as we slowly but surely get closer to the summer of Superman, which will bring even more marketing coming our way, as soon as next month, by the way, with that sneak peek scene that we'll be getting at the Puppy Bowl. But how about the official trailer? So I thought it'd be fun to do a what I want to see most wish list of just the overall things from that first official trailer for Superman. So it's not so much like a predictions, although you could kind of look at it that way, because some of the things I can go on to mention in this video might obviously pop up, but overall this is more like, damn, would I like to see these things pop up in that first official trailer. Now, having said that, I know teaser trailers these days are more often like that of a full trailer, with the teaser trailer for Superman coming in at around 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But the thing about that teaser trailer versus the new official trailer we're going to be getting is really the way they're executed. This time round, we can expect to be clued into the plot of the film a bit more. There will be dialogue, I'm sure, between characters, even if just briefly, among other things. So let's now get into what I want to see from this upcoming trailer. So first up, it's to put an emphasis on the dichotomy of Clark Kent and Superman, or at least at one portion of it in the trailer as it evolves to go on to show and highlight other things. Now, I know this is somewhat an expected thing anyway, and of course the first teaser did show us a bit of this, with of course the trailer picking up with Superman just crashing into the Arctic, to then also showing us Clark Kent rushing into the Daily Planet office seemingly late for work. So that first teaser did its job. We got actual teasers of the dual sides of Clark Kent and Superman. But here, with the official trailer, as I mentioned, it will likely be giving us a bit more of a scene-to-scene feel of the movie, with dialogue from its characters. So I think it would even be pretty cool if they went with the choice of having a narration from Clark over a couple of scenes like that. Perhaps it's, audio cut from a conversation that he's having with, I don't know, let's just say Pa Kent, which of course could be more of a feelsy approach, or maybe Jimmy or Lois Lane or just someone at the Daily Planet office, and where it's a bit more humorous, as the topic could be surrounding Superman in their conversation. And then, let's just say the third shot in that sequence in the trailer cuts to him actually finishing off that line of dialogue. Do you see where I'm coming from with how trailer edits often do that? They have that kind of narration, they show some scenes or a little bit of a montagey bit, but then they cut back to the scene from where that very narration was coming from. I can really imagine a vibe like that when trying to show the different sides of Clark Kent and Superman. Again, though, this is just speculation. Like, who knows? They're probably going to have a massive range of edits for the official trailer one or any upcoming trailer. But I do think it's a kind of vibe that I would like to see, since, as James Gunn has said, a big underlying theme for his Superman movie will be about telling the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas, and how he's guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned. I mean, imagine a scene of them showing us the dorky Clark Kent, perhaps in dialogue with Lois, Jimmy, Steve Lombard, perhaps even Perry White in the office, and then the trailer just cuts to this more action point of view of Superman out there doing his thing, and then how you have the other characters just not understanding why Kent may be late, or perhaps Clark struggling with living his dual life. What I'm saying there, you can probably easily visualize in your head with how a trailer edit would achieve something like that, but more emphasis on this, no matter what, of what I'm trying to get across here, would be a big win for me, because I'm really excited to see more Superman, but also any crumbs of Clark Kent and how David Corenswet's iteration of the character interacts with other people, his relationship with other people, and the stylistic ways the trailer can just get that across. It could be really, really cool to include. Now, next up is Lord Tech stuff, believe it or not. So this one may also seem obvious, but I for sure want to see quite a bit more of these characters featured in the next trailer. And after all, as James Gunn has said, they are Superman's metahuman compatriots. And, you know, when talking about criticism before as to why you have these other heroes in the film, here we have James Gunn saying Superman is a man of two worlds, Clark with Lois, Jimmy and Perry, and Superman with his metahuman compatriots. How could I tell a full story about Clark/Superman without including all areas of his life? Since we are focusing on Superman's side of his life where you would have metahuman compatriots realistically, right, in a DC universe that's already been living and breathing with heroes out there, metahumans who have been around for a long time, as James Gunn said, more of them today than there used to be, more of an issue today than there used to be. How could they not be included in one way or another, you know? So since they are going to be used to help show that side of Superman's life, not the Clark Kent side, but the Superman side, then I feel like we need to step them up a notch in the next trailer. And that's for so many reasons, but they're also just going to help breathe life into the larger superhero world that exists, but is also being shown to us for the first time in live action in James Gunn's DCU. And as we went over with the previous point, dialogue. Like, who knows what we could get out of that? There are some clues from Gunn saying that Superman has friends who are other superheroes, but he also has people he doesn't get along with as well with who are other superheroes. So I would have to say, if I was doing a shot in the dark, that's probably Guy Gardner. I think that's going to be a whole arc in the film, like where he actually comes to respect Superman more for his own superhero autonomy, and that's the very thing that rubs Guy Gardner the wrong way, probably because Clark's doing things quite differently. But this isn't one of those theory videos. Back to, you know, what I want to see in the trailer. The point is, maybe we could see some footage of Guy Gardner butting heads with the way Superman wanted to, let's just say, handle the kaiju threat in Metropolis. Maybe that could be the scene that we see briefly teased in the teaser trailer, where they come storming in, Guy Gardner blocks the view from the public, we see Superman with the burnt version of the suit, which is possibly post-kaiju battle, looks a bit kind of upset, obviously with the backlash of the people, and maybe we're about to have the Law Tech heroes take issue with what just happened out there and how things were handled. Again, this isn't that kind of theory video, but I do think with those theories we've discussed on the channel, we're like skirting somewhere between the truth. And I think with the Lord Tech presentation being upped more, most likely, right, in the official trailer, and also the official trailer likely cluing us a little bit more via dialogue into the story, they can ever so slightly tease, you know, a sentence or two back and forth between either Superman or one of the Lord Tech heroes, what subplot is going on there, and maybe that is one of initial tensions that we've speculated about for quite a while. But of course, I think we know that Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl and Mister Terrific will be featured more, and I think, you know, they could lend nicely to even some action shots, such as when we saw the behind-the-scenes filming as they even all land to the group of citizens, and Superman scoops a bunch of kids who come running towards him. Even stuff like that, like peppered in there, in the B-roll of the trailer, if you will, would be really cool to see. And I think that's actually one bit of feedback some people had, even though this is going to be a bit more of an optimistic Superman take. One thing we haven't really seen is, you know, David Corenswet Superman actually standing there and giving a big old cheesy grin or smile, and then up and away taking off. Do you know what I mean? I think showing that particular behind-the-scenes shot with him and the kids and the people seemingly loving him would be a really powerful move there, because it's just so symbolically Superman to put into the marketing. As for like the larger superhero stuff that I wanted to include in this point here, even though this character isn't Lord Tech related as far as we can, you know, speculate about, well, that is more Metamorpho in there, but I think perhaps he could be shown lightly again, because after all, he could be quite important to the story, and if he is contained somewhere, like a lot of us are thinking, whether it's that metahuman containment facility, maybe if they showed more of that, it could give too much away, but I think there are ways to ambiguously do it, so either way, more Metamorpho for sure. Now, before I forget about the action, one of my next biggest wants, even though I've already spoken about it a bit, but that is just Superman action, like, within that of himself in the trailer, because we got a glimpse of Ultraman rugby tackling Superman in the Lord Tech Stadium very, very quickly. But I think in the official trailer, James Gunn should absolutely show off like the capabilities and what he's been able to achieve with a new iteration of Superman. Like, we've all seen what kind of cinematography can achieve with previous iterations of Superman, but it's like, hey, Gunn, what magic are you bringing? Because, you know, in the behind the scenes filming for that particular fight scene at the stadium, without, you know, giving away major spoilers here, we saw Corenswet Superman like doing like a rotating, swinging punch into Ultraman and all sorts of crazy things like that. And of course, we need to wait to see how that shot pans out. But it looked like a bunch of crazy camera work was going on. And if you could like tease like a collaboration between Superman and the Lord Tech Heroes action kind of stuff in the trailer, that would be really cool. And you guys probably know what I mean by that. We're talking like the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, near the end of the movie, hallway fight, where the camera was like weaving throughout them. Can you imagine like the camera weaving throughout, like Hawkgirl's here, it weaves throughout, Superman's like fist is like flying through, and the camera's like following that, but then you have like Gardner there, and the camera's approaching his Green Lantern light, like that kind of thing. If they showed like a 2.5 second snap and then cut to the next scene, I think that would show promise of what kind of like superhero collaborative action we could be getting. So just show us some of that spectacle to get us excited. Don't lean into action and spectacle too much, because I think one of the strongest things you can actually do in marketing is to lean on, hey, your character, your emotion, and get people connected that way. Because often, if you lean too much on spectacle, you know, you might get across the, like, hey, I'm not knocking on Black Adam here. Like, if you love it, you love it. I'm just saying you might get that Fast and Furious Black Adam kind of feel where it's like, oh, this is your quintessential comic book superhero movie spectacle. You don't want to lean on it too much, but complimentary peppering in there to show off what you're doing with this new Superman, in addition to all the beats of storytelling and emotion and like main plot stuff, teases that you want to kind of sell to the audience in your official trailer. That would be the recipe I would recommend. Now, up next, I want to see more about the Engineer in the next trailer, please. Perhaps a lot of people saw this one coming, and then again, you know, given that we expect the new trailer to be getting into a bit more dialogue and not just be completely music-based, I think that this could be their chance to implement something a bit more about her, because so far we've just seen her on the top of the Luthor Corp building in the traditional trailer, and then the IMAX version that they're playing, which is basically the exact same trailer but with 2 additional shots. You see her as they're walking into the Fortress of Solitude, but you only see like half her face. Now, I understand that we truly don't know the extent of the Engineer's role, or how much screen time rather she'll have in the movie. She is basically, on paper right now, a henchman of Luthor's alongside Ultraman or Ulysses or whatever you want to call him. But still, I think we should highlight her a bit more, because I can just imagine in the edit of the trailer and stuff, maybe she could be clued in with whatever extra stuff we could get to see of Lex Luthor in the new official trailer. So perhaps we could see a scene, for example, here of him addressing them while he's looking out the window of Luthor Corp. Kind of cliche there, but you know what I mean? Like some kind of like panning footage like that. Luthor's like, right, you know, we're going to go do this now. We're now going to go bust into the Fortress of Solitude. Obviously, a lot more elegant than that. Maybe tease their mission a bit more and why they're going after Superman. Then, of course, kind of going back to action here, we could see her in action, as we know she's going to be going after Superman in the film, alongside Ultraman, and that's why, you know, Superman's going to be having a hard time taking on both the Engineer and Ultraman at the same time. Like, that's kind of nuts. But this, in turn, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to one of my biggest wants when it comes to The Engineer, and just the trailer, actually. And that is, could it be giving us a look at the CGI? Because at the moment, we see that she's still in the black costume that we saw from behind the scenes with all, like, the lines in it. I remember lots of people were theorizing that the whole black costume is just a harness suit, and I was like, no, it's not. That's evidently designed to have the little intricate lines in it and whatnot. But what I didn't dismiss the idea of is that, well, of course, they could still use CG to go over the black suit that she's wearing. So it's just like the black suit in of itself is just like the foundation suit for the Engineer, because, for example, in the comics, when she's in her engineer mode or not in her liquid nanite metal covering, she's basically naked. Like, she can take it off, but when she takes it off, she is butt naked. So in a Superman movie like this, Gunn probably wanted to give her like a baseline suit, right? That's, this black detailed, etching and whatnot. But when we see her powers, maybe in the trailer they can finally tease us that they are going to do that kind of Terminator 2-esque liquid metal coat of her nanotech, just take over, her suit. That would be really cool. Like, Neo in the Matrix, it just starts taking over her arm. That would be really, really awesome. And I think it would, reassure a lot of people that Gunn is going to do the comic book accurate Engineer design. But at the same time, I do have to say that they might not do that. What they might do instead is we don't see the liquid nanite metal cover her face and everywhere. What we could just see is kind of her powers in where she kind of has her cyborg-esque weaponry just conjure on her arm, and they decide to show it that way. We still have to wait to see how they're truly executing her character, but this is one of my biggest wants because it's one of the biggest mysteries so far that we've had go unanswered ever since we found out about the Engineer a good couple or so years ago. Now, just briefly here on the back of talking about the Engineer, of course, I would like to see them lean more into Ultraman or Ulysses, the black-suited figure in the official trailer, but I just don't know how much they're going to want to show of him given the overall mystery surrounding this seeming henchman. Now, I think what they could still do regardless is still flex him in the trailer, or perhaps even in some action as we went over, but even, I think you can get away with literally advertising the mystery about the character, maybe like a little pan or like whatever into the character, and it's just like, yeah, who is this guy? And it just forefront and center shows him and makes people question, yeah, who is this dude? You don't have to be like showing him in a conversation with Lex. You don't have to show him in a lab with Luthor. You don't even have to go as far as like teasing him ripping off the mask but then cutting to a different scene. An example like that could be showing the audience that, hey, we now want you to wonder about who's under this mask. I don't think they're going to go to that extent, but just even more kind of footage than what we got in the teaser trailer would be a big win in my books. Even if these two characters, or Ultraman here in particular, isn't going to be as big as we had initially thought. Up next is a scene of dialogue with Ma and or Pa Kent at the Kent farm. And I think they really have the capability of hitting hard here. Like, as I said earlier, you can do like a blend of spectacle, but also it's important to have in that blend the emotion, the characters. And sure, we don't really know what's going on in this scene right here. My initial speculations were that it maybe could have been about Clark going back to the Kent farm to get advice from Pa Kent about how to navigate the situation he's in, especially considering that we saw him getting rejected by the people of Metropolis. Then this tying into the whole description from Gunn that he has for the film and what Clark is balancing with both his Kryptonian heritage and his human upbringing. But then new ideas emerged from you guys, and it made quite a bit of sense to me in how, maybe a part of Clark reconciling his human upbringing with his Kryptonian heritage is the idea that Jonathan Kent here could be telling Clark that maybe he's really ill, maybe he's dying, and how can that be something that Clark could even begin to stop, learning the limitations of his power. The thing is, though, again, this is all just an idea, but I reel it back to that whatever they could give us with the Kents would be quite pivotal in having the potential of being moved in that of the trailer and just showing that side of Clark's life. Because so far, we got that music kind of version of him, like, you know, hugging Pa Kent, but maybe an extension of another scene or something like that would be great. Now, up next, as we've discussed, with there being this heavy emphasis on balancing his human upbringing with his Kryptonian heritage, how many times am I going to say that? Counted. So what comes with that is seeing Superman in his alien headquarters, the Fortress of Solitude. So I want to see more Fortress, and I know we've seen the Fortress briefly with Lex entering it with his henchmen and Superman devastated at the seeming loss of his Fortress robot, but I think in the official trailer, man, we could get a lot more. Possibly Clark clawing to learn more about Krypton, some kind of little tease like that. Perhaps him just interacting with his Fortress robot, a line or two of dialogue before it cuts to the next scene in the trailer kind of thing. Maybe even the dialogue involves him seeking more knowledge, as that brings me back to the whole idea of perhaps up until now, he's on the cusp of learning more about Krypton, his Kryptonian heritage, if you will. So close, but yet so far away. As you can tell, yeah, it's hard for me to not get into the rabbit hole of theories here, but I want more Fortress of Solitude. You know, I think we should even see scenes of Clark arriving to the fortress, maybe get a better view at the fortress gate or whatever the heck we saw there. Perhaps an extended look at that flying in the Arctic, flash quick cut scene from the teaser for the teaser trailer. And lastly here, and this one's kind of obvious and perhaps even the biggest one, but it's Luthor interacting with Superman. Because again, official trailer 1, executed differently, hopefully quite a bit more dialogue. But this is one of those scenes in the trailer where it might be like 2 words to each other and then a quick cut away before the logo appears maybe at the end. Or it's like a one-sided line and then it cuts to a reaction from the other, you know, person. Either way, I saved this one to last because after all, Luthor is the main villain in the movie. So to get an exchange between the legendary Superman and Lex Luthor with an overall differently executed and edited trailer would be sweet. There's all kinds of reasons for this because, again, I just really want to stress the difference between the trailers that we've got and what we will get. The first trailer was all music, even with like Lex holding that pistol of his and, you know, Superman bursting through the glass. Like you had him like walk away from seeing Superman fly by, but you don't have the pure energy. You've got a tonal kind of teaser and feel for the wardrobe, the kind of cinematography. But what is Luthor's or Nicholas Holt's demeanor like as Luthor? How intimidating is he in front of the Man of Steel, this near godlike figure? He has to be, but like now we're going to get that maybe in a 2-line dialogue exchange, maybe in the next trailer. That is why I'm kind of dying to see that energy portrayed in some way, shape, or form in the official trailer 1. But let me know your top wants, like things you absolutely have to see yourself in the official trailer 1. I do have like some honorable mentions and bonus stuff, like obviously maybe a suit up scene, maybe a shirt rip, even though there's debates about, you know, will that suit with the collar really fit under the collar of his work shirt? But to me, I think that's like a futile argument, or like suspend your disbelief, because if you're questioning the collar, are you not going to question his cape? Do you think his cape fits under his Daily Planet suit? Do you think his boots fit within his work shoes and stuff like that? So, do you know what I mean? Do you want a shirt rip? Do you want even just a suit-up scene where he's putting on the boots like we saw in one of the first teaser photos for the movie? I don't know. I could go on really forever, but I think I'm going to have to end this here considering the length of this video for just things I want to see in the official trailer 1. But if you like this video, do consider leaving a like. It really supports the channel. Obviously, consider subscribing if you want to see more Boba Rambly videos like this. But I'm going to love you and leave you. So again, thank you so much for your support. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Kryptonians in the next video. Goodbye.